Okay, I'm gonna relieve this back edge of the main countertop, and that's going to be so that I can scribe it to the left and right sides. You'll see what I'm talking about when I get to the job site. Right in this area here, and I'm gonna let the saw blade come up right there. It'll cut through and it will relieve my back edge, and then I'll finish the cut up with the handsaw. All right, there's one thing I want to do before I go over to the job site is I'm going to take this Craig jig and I'm going to clamp it right there, wood just a little bit. Screw and lock this guy in, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Normally, I would glue this down onto the countertop. But because I'm going to be covering this up with a base trim, it's going to wrap around everything. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple pockets. And I'm actually going to try to do this without clamping it. And I'm just going to see what happens. That was easy. Helps that this is a brand new bit and this is not solid wood. All right, that's cool. So I ended up doing 2 on each side. The bottom, and then those 3. So that's good. So I won't have to glue that, because what's going to happen is when I put that base trim on there, I'm going to put a little glue on it anyways, the bottom, just to help support. Because whenever you put TV mounts on these things, you know, there's a lot of pressure on those TV panels. Okay, we are here on the job site, and the first thing we want to do is put in this left cabinet. And this particular job, the baseboard had already been removed for something. So all we need to do is put the cabinets in. We don't have to cut out baseboard, which is kind of nice. And as you can see, so this is loose. We're going to get, this piece is going to be changed. I'm just going to put a whole new piece in. And our cabinets are going to go here. This outlet I think it's going to be in the big cabinet. This is going to be the panel. The TV panel is going to be there. So we're going to be putting a hole for the access to that. And then that outlet's going to be away from the cabinet. So we're not going to be messing with that one. But everything else should be good. Let's put this over here.
Just sort of in place.
So, also what we want to do is we want to figure out where the level is. So we're going to use the laser to get a level line and see what's what. See how the floor is and if it dips or anything. All right, so this is the laser that I like to use. This is my GLL 380, and this particular one, it goes level out in front, it goes plumb, so it's a phenomenal 360 degree, and it's very accurate. And get our line. So the first cabinet's going to be 40 inches. So that's the line we're going to do right now, and then we'll do the shorter one off of it, which happens to be 36 inches. That's with the top, so this is going to be without the top. All right, I need to be at 38 3/4. And I want to be at the top of the line. Well, this is good. This part here, level.
So it just goes down?
Yeah. It's not terrible. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set this guy here, and we're good with that height that we have set with the laser. And then so this is about where the cabinet's going to go. The leg's going to be there. So that's literally on 39 and a 32nd. We'll have to raise that cabinet up about just over a 1/4 inch. And then this guy will be on that same shim. So about a 1/4 inch shim will get us maybe a little heavy. So this is going to go right up to the wall, as close to the wall as we can get. Now, one thing also I want to do is just look at the wall and see if it shows me any signs of a bulge. You know, you never know. You gotta go get the 6 foot level. Silver one. We'll put our level on it and just see if we can see any kind of bulges. I don't see anything as I'm looking, but it's just so hard. It's so hard to see that. Okay, so that's, I would say that's a pretty significant bulge. From what I can see, the walls aren't terrible. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and put a line. This is going to be our reference line. So, we got to put this outlet in. Got to do some measurements. Before we take that out, let's take the measurement. All right, that's 3 3/8. 3 5/8. My number's right here. 3 5/8. And 5 1/2. Now we can take this off. Now that we've measured it. So I'm going to take my measurements that I had, and 3 5/8, 5 1/2. And we are going to be in this vicinity for the height. It's going to be around in this area here. So I'll take this. 3 5/8. 5 1/2. 10 1/2. And 13 3/8. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that's where we're cutting. Before I do that, I just want to check the measurements one more time. 3 5/8. All right, we're ready to go. Good?
Yep.
Let's pull the trigger.
Are you ready?
All right, you can come over here and get this dust when you're done. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up. Hold on. And pull this thing. Okay, now I'm going to pick it up. Okay. It's touching the wall. Definitely can't go anywhere, huh? Come up in the front. Says it needs to come out a little on the right. Put it over here. How's that? Yeah, we're good. I have a feeling that we're going to have to pull this thing out, but we'll try it. Let's go grab the other cabinet. Ready? We'll lift this up and we'll set it down on the shin. Okay. Now this guy should need to go up just a touch on the right. Okay. Now, you might not think that these lines mean anything, but when you have baseboard flowing around, sometimes these lines look really funny if they're off. Now, if they're off because they're off, the walls are off, there's nothing you can do, but that's real good. All right, so I'm at my marks. I can see them. A 3-inch line right there. You see that guy? And I can see them flush all the way around. We're good. That is nice. Okay. These guys are ready to set. All right, so these guys are just sitting here, and I wanted to show you, this is my goal, where you've got the layout line right there, and the layout line here, and those are the setbacks. And you see how tight that joint is, right? I mean, that is just perfect. Which is also good because it shows we're perfectly level on the level there, so that's always nice. And because our reveals are good here, that means that we're equal there as well. But you can also take your tape measure and just make sure that it's exactly what it needs to be, and that is exactly 3 3/4. Okay, so we're good. The other side is the exact same way. Now here's what that wall right there we're touching, so all the way down there we're touching, up here we are not touching. So we've had to adapt this cabinet to fit this spot right here. If that's, you know, if we would have secured these cabinets first, now we would be undoing those to get this in. That's the thing about putting cabinets in. You got to always think about the end game. Sometimes you have to wait until you've got everything in before you can finalize stuff. So you can see how nice that is. And again, there's my reveal, and it's down at the bottom as well. So we're really good. And that's nice and tight there. And again, this area here, because we're so close to this line, I measured just to make sure what that looked like. And these measurements were really close. I mean, within a 1/16 of an inch. So, or right on the money. So that's really good. Okay. Very cool. We're going to take a measurement of this location as well. So when we drill the hole in the cabinet, we'll know where that goes. All right, so we're going to find some stud locations to secure this. And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and secure the actual cabinets to each other. And then once that's done, we can secure it to the wall. I think you saw me drill holes for the cabinets. Those are going to be useful because I'm now going to just go inside. Those holes are already drilled and countersunk from the other side. So right here, I can go ahead and secure it with my 1¼ inch screws without having to pre-drill or anything. On the line again. And always make sure you don't blow through. All right, so we've got our stud locations, and I'm going to go ahead and take my drill and go at an angle. Yeah, that's just so much sharper than it used to be. That's nice. Do this all the way. In order to put this in correctly, we need to put a shim there. And there's nothing going to be behind here, so there's no, you know, we don't have to worry about anything as far as level goes. So we're just going to drop the shim down and secure it right to it. And then we're going to cut the shim off because we're going to put a counter on it. Go straight down, just like that, until it stops.
From here?
Yep. Yeah. And then we don't have to come up with the reverse, you know, shims.
This one is a little too big.
Okay, so then what we do, oh, we lose it. Okay, it's okay. Drop this one down, and then take this guy and drop it down.
Is that gone forever?
Yeah, I'm not getting it. You get it?
You don't care that much about it.
It is. All right, get a couple more shims out of there. Now, sometimes it's nice to drill if it's, possible. Try to get the shims so that the drill bit's going right in the middle, just in case. Better so that it doesn't split out the shim. And then we'll fire some screws.
You're too thick.
All right. Yeah, this cabinet's just rock solid. Okay, next step, cut off this with this guy. So you can see how crooked the back is, the back wall, and the front. That's the issue. If we were just to put a square piece in and follow the length of our cabinet, it wouldn't fit right. There's going to be a big gap there, right? And if we made it this big, like to close that gap in, to fit tight there, we wouldn't be able to get it in here, right? It's going to get tighter as we go back. There's nothing going above here, so this is all going to be visible. And that area there would be a massive gap because it would hit here. So really, we have to put a crooked piece in, right? Something that's not square, or at least on all the sides. This is going to be a right angle there, but everything else is going to be nasty. So we're going to scribe this. And there's obviously lots of different ways to scribe things, different methods, but when you're going into corners like this, it gets much more complicated. So, and especially with a drop down. If we didn't have a drop down, it would be a lot simpler, but still complicated. I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm actually going to elevate it up so that it's the same level. So not only do we have to scribe it to the left, but we have to scribe it backwards. So that's doubly complicated. But it's a good thing it's not a huge amount, right? But it's still, a decent amount. And I believe I have 1/2 inch. All these pieces, I make notes of these 1/2 inch scribes front and back. So I've left myself a 1/2 inch for scribing. And this right here is a 1/4 inch. And that is just over a 1/4 inch. So that's pretty good. We'll have that 1/2 inch to work with. So, all right, let me get my bearings and then I'll come back to you. So I can see that that's square, it's tightened to the corner and flush with the back. All right, so now you can see what I'm going to do is I'm pushing into the corner and I've got my mark here. So I'm going to take this, once I have this set like this, I'm going to take my scribes and I'm actually going to scribe that back area. Okay, so I just made this line, that's where I'm at. I'm going to check that and see how square that is. All right, that's right on the money. Okay, so that's going to be my line. I'm going to go ahead and set my dividers up. This line right here, that's the line that I'm going to go ahead and scribe to. And I'm just taking it from the edge of the cabinet and I'm putting my scribe right there so that that's how much I remove from this top. So when I go on the wall, I'm doing this, right? I'm just removing the material that is overhanging here to fit in there. Should. Okay, now also think about this. When I'm doing this, I'm also needing to scribe the back wall. Take this, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this. All right, that's my line. Now, could be that it's perfect, but what I'm going to do to find out if it's going to be correct length is I'm just going to measure from the right side, and if it's the same measurement as this to that wall, that opening, then it should be good. Let me check this. So that is 28 and 3/16. Sometimes when you scribe, the walls just ever so slightly different, a little higher. Even this is only 3 3/4. You never know. So that's 28 and 3/16, and that's going to be tight. Let me just check this again. Let me check this. All right, that's just under 28. I think that's what this was. It's like just barely under 28. Okay, so really, I could actually be taking off a hair more because what's going to happen is this is going to be a really snug fit. And sometimes when you have it too snug, it's very difficult to get in. Because I have this cabinet here, I'm a little less worried because I'm going to put it in like this. And as I put it in like that, I'm able to drop it down here. So it's definitely better because this is, you know, the cabinet. The counters slide on this pretty easily. Okay. All right, yeah, 1.5 inch overhang, 1/4. So I'm glad I checked that. Okay, so I've got my divider set at a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to go ahead. This guy's already been done. I'm going to go ahead and do the back. Now, while I do the back, though, this is something I wanted to point out, is that needs to be flush with here. So we're basically going flush with the back and square with my layout line. I know that I'm square. And flush to the back is important because if we're not flush to the back, it won't be able to, I won't have a very good square cut. My overhang is going to be different. So that guy's right there. So I'm taking away more material there, and it's tapering down here to not as much material. That's because my space is greater there than it is there. So this ultimate distance here should be right about 17.5. And it's dead on 17.5. All right, I hope you can see this. I'm going to go ahead and clamp this down on my Sys MFTs. I'm going to lock it down like this, and then I'm going to move it after I'm done making this back cut. This is the front edge. I want to be able to see that line, so I'm going to have to move it when I'm ready to do that one so I can see that front. Or actually I can just start it this way. But you can see they just have lots of different ways of mounting to these. So I'm going to start it with my jigsaw and then stay away from the line and move to it as I'm on my belt sander. I'll get it right there. So it's going to be like this to begin. And then as I get into the cut, I'm going to go straight, square, and then I'm going to start pivoting it back just a touch. After I'm in and I'm past my overhang area, which is about 1.5 inches, then I'll start to pivot it a little at an angle, bevel the cut. All right. those jobs that's really messy. Dust collection would be good, but dust collection right now is a little bit of a nuisance. Alright, so that's a pretty significant angle you can see I'm putting on that guy. So when I go to hit it with the belt sander, I'm going to go right to that line, and that is going to be my money line. I'm not going to rub this off, I'm just going to blow that off because that will take my scribe mark right off. So you can see it's pretty beveled, but not where you'll be able to see that area there, so that's square. And then we'll go right to the line and we'll get rid of any chipping that occurs from cutting like this. Usually you get some chipping. That'll go away. Alright, now I'm ready to hit this with the belt sander. So I took off my belt that was on. It was actually a 60 grit. And I got a 40 grit. Part's square, so I need to be real careful with that. But this part that's beveled is going to come off real fast. That 40 grit, I mean, it's just like cuts it like butter. All right, I changed the position of this so it pulls down and it keeps the top from burring. If you were to have it reversed, it'll burr up the top because the belt's going to pull the fibers up. So having it like this is going down, it's best if you can. Sometimes you can't, but Alright, let's go see how it fits. Alright, let me check this guy. Once it gets past that point where the angle is, that's why I was saying this is nice because I can slide it easily, kind of easily. Alright, that's remarkably good. Alright, let me just show you this up close so you can see. That is really good. Excellent. And most importantly, I'm right at my layout line. And I'm right at my, there's a little black mark I can see right there. So My nail isn't perfect, which means my overhang is good. And I can tell just by looking at it down here for the face frame that that is perfect. Okay. Now, since that was a double scribe, this one's a single, only going to be working off that back edge. So I'm going to do the same thing, and that is remove a 1/2 inch from this guy. So what I need to do is make this thing flush, and all I'm doing is making it flush with the back of the cabinet, and that's going to give me, if I take off a 1/2 inch, since I'm square to this side, that's going to give me a perfect scribe at a 1/2 inch. There it is. Now I can take that, and again, this was tight here and it's flush with the back. So let's go ahead and take that off. Now that's actually not terribly crooked, I can tell you right there. It looks pretty straight. And I know the temptation would be to want to just put a straight edge on it and just use a track saw or something. But the problem is that there's subtle variations in this, and that's just not what I want to do. Make sure this end here is square.
Walking through your car usually So that's perfect. All we need to do now is secure it. Good. You know, the nice thing about doing it like this, right, scribing, is that you end up with nice tight joints that really aren't that difficult for anybody to caulk. That's, I mean, you know, when you think about, some people leave jobs like that and then they just, oh, the caulkers will caulk it, and you'll end up with, you know, that's, I try not to do that. All right, so now I'm going to do this one. I need to take off all that stuff. I'm going to take off a 1/4 inch off that because this whole cabinet was away from the wall. So 1/4 inch. So I'm going to set my scribes at a 1/4 inch. And to do that, I'm just going to take my tape measure and match it up to a 1/4 inch. Now, since I relieve this whole area, all I have to do is scribe this. Now you remember me saying it'll make sense to you when you get to the job site. Now this one's away from the wall, but it's equal here. So when everything's said and done, it'll be equal. But I'm actually taking off less here. So this is the part that I removed. So you can see why I did that, why I do that. As long as this distance here, as long as this is under the cabinet, it's good. And I only have to do that much scribing. Let me just check my overhangs here. Okay, that's good. So that looks really good. So that's a tight joint. I mean, Scribe, that looks really good. So let's go ahead and secure this. And 1¼ inch screws, those guys right there. Push up against tight against the wall. And this is going into 1 inch and our next job is bring in this guy. So let's go do that right now. I'm going to put marks where the studs are. I don't know if we're going to be using very many studs. We're just going to hit the middle area. Probably the other arm should be lower. Yeah. Can you get up high? Yeah. Perfect. You don't want to start tipping the cabinet because if it hits the ceiling, it could theoretically start tipping the back of the cabinet. But we don't want to do that, so we want to make sure that it stays nice and tight. And that looks good. So this is 4 5/8 strong, and that's 4 5/8 strong. You know, they say you only get one chance to do it right. And so, all right, this looks really good. So this guy's ready to be mounted. So what I did was I did the pockets, you can see. So all these pockets, I'm going to go ahead and have my helper bring me some pocket screws. And I'm going to utilize these guys. Rather than gluing that, which I normally would do, I'm going to secure them in pockets. Okay. So 1¼ inch. 3, 2, 2. Oh yeah. So right up here next to the fixed point, that's 14 and 11. You go to the middle. And we're right there. Perfect. Go ahead and secure this. Now these are all going to be covered. I'm going to be putting a little trim on this. Just a little bit. All right, now to secure this guy to the wall, I'm going to utilize my marks. I put these marks here. And these are from the stud locations, and the shims we put in to put the cabinet in, that was the location on the center point. So I'm just going to take my tape measure and measure over and then put a mark up at the top. Now this is 3/4 inch in from here. So whatever number this is, I want to subtract 3/4 inch to get it to that number. So this is 7 well, we'll call it 8. So we want to do 7 1/4. Really don't even need a ladder, but I kind of do. And these a little on the lower side, so you don't see them. Nice thing about this is that it's up against the wall at the top.
And that's nice because we don't have to worry about putting a shim back there. That's nice. So that's good. We can go ahead and vacuum out those areas that I just need. I'm going to take the shims out just one side at a time temporarily so I can throw some glue on them and then put them back in so they can set and then dry, and then when I clip them off they'll be nice. A little bit of gray. Cabinet's completely mounted. I've already got the measurements for the base. Everything, to my knowledge, is good to go. The only thing we have to do is cut all the molding, and that's going to be done at the shop, and then I'll bring it back here. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for right now. We'll see you at the shop cutting the molding. All right, I just took this and just made a line up there just so I had a reference line just in case I need to take this and recut something away from my jig. I know how high up to put it on the fence, and it nestles in there nicely, so it's pretty easy, but that line will really help me. But what I'm going to do is take my jig. Since I'm at the shop, I'm going to try to expeditiously cut these, and if I need to make any cuts back at the job site, it'll be not that many, so it's hopefully going to be good measurements. So I always like to do a diagram, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to see, and also for anybody doing this. I think it's a nice way of doing it. So these are going to be inside miters. It's 51, and then of course returns 1.5 inches, and then 2 at 9. Those are going to be 16.5, and they're going to be a little long. So the actual length is probably going to be more like 16.1/8 or something, but that's okay. I want to make them long, and I'll butt cut them. I'll cut them to length when I get to the job site. And the same with the mid base and the lower baseboard. So the customer has decided that she wants to go with the house base in order for this to work. So we have a 6-inch house base, and we're going to go ahead and I just got a couple of 16-footers. I'm going to go ahead and do that in her house base. You know, no worries there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna sand the tops of these. And these are just cut rough length. Some of these are. Some of them are exact length. It's really important to sand the tops really well. And then this inside part, it's good to sand in that little area right there. In there. Try not to flatten out the other profile. So you just want to get that inside part. All right, I have to scribe this baseboard, and in order to scribe it, you have to get a level line on it, which means that what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my top of the rail as my level line, and once I get it to that line, I can subtract the amount that I raised it up to that level line from where I want it. So my target is right here, that line right there. So I'm going to take my dividers and I'm just going to simply make it as big as I need to in order to get to that line. Okay, I'm going to shoot for a little under that line. That's going to be about about 3/4 of an inch. That's what that target is. 5/8 of an inch. But I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch. So I have to raise this up. So I have to put a shim under there. Okay. Now I've got a perfectly level line. And I'm going to make sure that my molding is where it needs to be, because it's going to wrap around. And I have to do this all the way across the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this. When I run into my shims, I'm going to have to hold this, take these out, and continue the line, and then put the shim back in. Okay, where that's in the way, I'm going to go ahead, pull this tight, and hold it while I continue that line. So now you can tell I've got a majorly angled scribe, and that's as curved gets right there. That's crazy. Look at that thing. So I'm going to go hit this. I'm going to hit it with the jigsaw and belt sander. Let's go see how it fits. Okay, got this thing cut. Let's see how it fits. So my target is right below that line, which is where it's at. Let's see if I'm consistent. All right, that looks really good. So I'm going to say that's a good scribe. Oh. Geez, with that tension on it, it's going to hold itself up. So I'm going to flush that guy up there. So they're both level with each other. Go ahead and use my scribes at the same height as they were before, since these cabinets are the same. In theory, they're supposed to be the same. Right, I'll go out and trim these. As you can see, crazy wacky lines. All right, so check it out. All right, I'm going to bring you in closer, hopefully for good results. I don't know. Okay, that's good. Now, the issue with running this base is because I am scribing this, that means that every piece has to be scribed around the whole house. So that's always the issue. Okay, so that's my line. So that looks good right there. Let's check this side one out. All right, that's perfect. Perfectly flush, and that is impressive. So that's the only downside to this, is that basically any connecting part you're going to have to scribe. So now what I'm going to have to do is put this on the floor and just figure out that distance, which is 1/4 inch or something, and then remove it from the bottom. All right, now I'm on the right side. So here's the trick. This one here, I can't tension that in, right? So I have to shim that up. Make sure I'm tight to the corner, and I'm going to go ahead and scribe it. Okay, now I'm going to hold it tight so it won't fall. Move that. I'm going to put this on there, flush with the top, and push it in tight. Just like that. And now I want to do this side. To take a square off of this so I can get a accurate angle. So we know that's square. Now I can take this and I can put it on a shim and raise it up. and mark this guy. Make sure this is level. Very good height. Okay, so now I got to do this one. This one. This one. Got this. Nice. It's great, nice and square. Okay, so that's good. The only thing we have to do is get that guy right there has to be trimmed in order to match this one. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. All right. There it is. Beautiful. Ready to go ahead and secure this. Now, I always glue these joints. If you don't glue these joints, they're going to split. When the seasons change, you're going to get splitting in all those joints. So do yourself a favor, put wood glue in those joints. Even that will split. Oh yeah, that's money right there. Look at that. Perfect. Gonna put 1.25 inches in here. Okay, this guy right here, I just clamped that temporarily. I'm going to take that off and apply glue. Try to get back in the same holes. Perfect joint. All right, that's good. So this guy just has to be scribed, I guess. That's a long piece. Okay. It's in the right spot. So I like to try to hide them underneath the top there. And then hit one right here, the plate. And that's a nice tight fit. Okay, we're not going to get anything else, so that's going to be it. Time to bring the doors in and the drawers. All right, I got to put those top ones up. Now that the crown molding's on, I can kind of get an idea of where it needs to go, where the doors need to go. So that's two soft closes on that guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that off. I'm going to unclip this soft close feature. Put one of them on. Much better. That's really nice. All aligned nicely. And perfect. I think it's almost time to start cleaning up. I do need to put handles on this guy. I may want to do that after it's painted. All right, I'm going to start cleaning up.
Do you want that light on?
No, I think it's good actually. It helps. Actually, I know. This is the kind of stuff that you have to see in close up, you know. These cameras, they don't zoom in. So you got to get close.
I like this trim as well. That looks nice. I know your friends have that same thing.
Sam, yeah.
Yeah, that really looks sharp on there. Absolutely.
Can't wait till he paints it. It's gonna look pretty.
Yeah.